Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now today, we're getting ready to close out October, moving into November. But before we do, we must honor what the Riddler says and riddle me this, answer some questions. You know the deal. The Riddler goes up. Last time I didn't put it up here and someone actually yelled at me, so there it is, my reminder to put it up in editing. But you know the deal here. You drop your questions down below. It's the channel's monthly Q&A. I go in the order they came in and answer them. Now, of course, we've got everything from, Rolex authorized dealers, my favorite credit card, who have I taken the most money from in my bank promotions, how to keep it all organized, that and much, much more. So as always, we do go very long here, but I like to give everyone a thorough answer. So chapters 2 with a brief description of the question will be down below for you if you'd like to bounce around as your heart is content. But with that, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, Mr. Luke points at Miles here. He says, batting leadoff, do you have any juice with an AD in your area? I've not been able to get any of the watches I want down here. Ask a real baller. So he's AD means authorized dealer. He's talking about like watches, like wristwatches, Rolex, Omega. I think he's a Omega. I think he's got a Tudor as well that look pretty nice. So the quick synopsis is it's very hard to get certain watches from authorized dealers. And so to answer your question, I have no juice, and the reason is, it never used, as you know this, but for the audience, it never used to be worth it to go to the authorized dealer. People who bought watches at an authorized dealer were insane, because if you take something like my first Rolex, and I've had multiple Rolex and Omega watches over the years, was the Black GMT Master 2. That watch years ago was retailing for like $85.50 plus tax. But if you went to a gray market dealer, a guy online who's, trusted seller, as they call them, selling watches, you buy the same watch for like $6,000, $6,500 plus. They don't personally take the taxes from you. So I don't, because of that, that's how I bought all my watches. Now, I did buy a Planet Ocean one time from an Omega dealer, but even at 20% off, that was still not worth it. You can't buy Omega new, as we all know. And I bought the Sea Dweller new, but that was like in 2019, right before everything went crazy. I think I went to a few different dealers in the area, and they all wanted to do the start the relationship, which means spend more money. But the Sea Dweller wasn't that popular of a watch because it's big, even though I have tiny wrists. It's got a Cyclops on it, which is a date magnifier. No one else but you and me at this point even cares about this topic. But they asked, like, hey, put 20% down. We'll call you in 6 months. They called me in 2 weeks, which tells me they probably had it in the safe that whole time. But I messaged that young lady who sold it to me a while back looking for a Milgauss for another friend, and she basically told me no, but thanks anyways, like just really quick. So no juice. Sorry, man. I used to buy all mine pre-owned, so I don't have any pull. But good luck. Let me know what you want. I'm really more interested. You seem like you pull off like a massive, like James Cameron Deep Sea or something like that. So let me know. Or if anyone else has any connections, power of the community. If anyone else has any connections for your guy, what do they call him? Uncle Luke? Let us know down below. We can get you guys in touch. How about that? Although you're more popular than me, so I assume you've asked people. The inevitable here. Chase Unlimited match sign-up offer seems appealing. Does Chase crack down on manufacturer spending? Are you planning to sign up for it? So he's talking about the Freedom Unlimited. So one of the options of the Freedom Unlimited card is like a cashback match for the first year, which last video, I think someone asked me if other card issuers were going to copy PNC, and I said no, I was wrong. That person was correct. So I have a link for that offer if you're interested on profitablecontent.com. I won't be signing up because I'm a mile over 524. I think that offer makes sense for people who know they can spend more than $800 on the card, because if not, you could go for the 5X gas and groceries. You should come all in. You could max out at $800. But if you know what you're doing, which is why you're asking about the manufacturer spending piece, Chase historically is pretty lax on most things. So when I say most things, gift cards, no problem. If you buy a ton in one go, they might lock your accounts. Be smart about it. Credit card funding's another big one. Like if you wanted to fund, your new bank account, we have a lot of bank accounts over at profitablecontent.com. That counts as a purchase. I think they code it as an other category or something like that. So I know you've got options. I'd say if you're going to go for that offer, which is not a bad offer, you just have to know what you're doing. Because I think on the surface, double cash back for the first year is like an offer that like it sounds amazing to a lot of people. But if you go into it not really knowing what you're going to do, then you probably would do better on the 5X gas and groceries. I know you know what you're doing. The best move would be 5X gas, groceries, Freedom Flex. Double Cash on the Freedom Unlimited for the first year, you're going to be crushing it. So I think you're smooth sailing ahead. So I would definitely check it out. Just do the math first. Royce here. Read more. There we go. I'd like to start opening some bank accounts in my wife's name to double our bonuses, but she has no interest in switching her direct deposit around. Do you know if it's possible if I could put myself as a co-owner on her account and not have it affect either of our bonuses? This is a funny thing. I always hear a player too. It's like, for whatever reason, guy or girl, like, some people just don't want to do this. So no, you can't do what you're thinking of, right? So what he's saying is basically his wife doesn't want to change her direct deposit at work because that's how a lot of these bonuses operate. You need a direct deposit. She doesn't want to change her direct deposit every 2 weeks. The problem with that is if you add your name onto her account, then you become a signer on that account, and then so let's pick an example, like Fifth Third, for example. If you opened a Fifth Third account, you got the bonus. Great. Now you cannot be a new customer for 1 full year. However, if you sign up your wife, then she's a new customer. Good. But because you've already been a customer within that year, if you join her on that account, now that account is tied to someone who's not a new customer, joint account, then that would make you ineligible. So you can't do it that way. What you could do is you can't change your direct deposit for her because it's going to go around through her work laptop and everything. You could use Wise because you can just send money from Wise to any account if you wanted. Depending on how your employer is set up, I know my past employers, they've never verified account ownership, so you might be able to send money from your HR to your wife's account. I don't know. You'd have to look into that. Every company is different on their rules, but if she doesn't want to do it, you definitely don't want to join the accounts together because that would make you ineligible. So anyone who plays the player too, let us know how this guy can make it a lot easier because this is a thing I hear a lot of. But no, do not do that. Next up, Wilson. I have had the AAA Travel Advantage Visa card going on 4 months now. They offer 5% cash back on gas, 3x on groceries. Pretty good card. He received the stated 5x on gas. However, I've yet to receive cash back on groceries, restaurants, purchases, so he's calling them. They're saying they're going to investigate, and they're not getting back to our guy. So, a few things. Number one, if you can go into your transactions, just covering the standard stuff, you can, they're going off of MCC codes. If you're going to regular grocery stores that should code a Kroger or, something like that. If it's like a Walmart or Target that sells groceries, that's going to be problematic. But if you've contacted them and they're not responding to you and they're not providing anything, I think you just go with the CFPB complaint, honestly, and I think you also pull back your spending from that card altogether until you get an answer that satisfies you. I would not continue to give them any more of my business, no matter how good of a card it is, if they're not going to honor the stuff. So I would put the card on ice, keep it paid off, obviously. If you really want to go after them hard, you could file a CFPB complaint. Even if the CFPB rules in your favor or force it, the CFPB doesn't necessarily issue rulings, but they kind of sometimes get your complaint to someone who's going to take it seriously. The problem still becomes that's looking at retroactiveness. Are they actually going to honor it going forward? Would they be able to provide you a list of MCC codes or stores, something like that maybe? But I think if they're not listening, CFPB is your next route to get what you're owed. It doesn't necessarily help you going forward, and then I just would personally not use it to give them any of my business, even though it is a good card. But that's your next option if they're not listening, especially commenting. Yeah. So good luck, CFPB. It does take a while, but it does work. It does usually get you fast-tracked you somewhere. So pretty sure we have a video on the whole overview of it, but that's what I would do. All right, Nathan Cash back here. RJ, what bank do you think you've taken the most money from in terms of subs, bank bonuses? Assuming you can churn like someone like Chase. It's not Chase. So again, some of these bank account questions, just so you know, from Run on the Bank, which is this channel, the second channel, which is focused on bank account promotional offers, similar to profitablecontent.com. If you're interested, you can check those out. They're always linked for you on the homepage and down below. So it's not Chase. The reason it's not Chase because Chase is an every 2-year churn. Now, if you threw credit cards in there, which you did, you said subs. So yes, if you wanted to do that, then yes, because this year I've got the $900 Sapphire Preferred, $900 Ink Unlimited, $200 from the Amazon card. So yeah, from credit cards, sure, but bank promotions, it's probably Huntington, believe it or not, because Huntington does a personal $600 one and a business $1,000 one, and you can hit them like it's every 6 months, but how the math works out on payments and closures, it's about once a year. So once a year, you can hit them for $1,600. Plus, one year I got their business voice card, $900 payout, I want to say, something like that. So, that because of that, I visit the same banks every year, Fifth Third, but Fifth Third doesn't always run a business offer. Citizens doesn't always run a business offer. So because of that, it's probably Huntington. If you throw in credit cards, it's still probably close because I don't churn Chase. Chase is my keeper bank account, so I've only done like a Chase Savings and Chase Business. You can only do the Chase Business account every 2 years, the same with their personal one. So because of volume or frequency of churn, I think it's actually Huntington. Funny story, you didn't ask this, but the most money I think I've ever, as a community, we've taken is from Key Point Bank, or I don't think they're a credit union. I think they're a bank. I made like $6,000 off of referring people, like 60 some odd people, and they were paying me $100, and the person signed up $300. So before they changed the promotion, if everyone completed it, I think they paid out combined just from this group $24,000, which is kind of a lot of money. And then who knows how many other people went on to refer their own people and everything. So Huntington and then Key Point will probably be for referrals. That one was amazing. Doc, here we go. Do personal lines of credit count towards 524? I know personal loans don't, but wasn't sure about personal lines of credit. I mean, they're not really supposed to, but Upgrade was one bank promotion where you had to open one of their line of credit cards, and for the longest time, that did not show up under my Mint counter. Right, how under average age of credit, it just shows your credit cards, but now it does. I don't know if it's because Upgrade changed something on their end or what. So they're not supposed to count because it is a revolving line of credit, personal line of credit, like a home equity or something like that. It's not supposed to count. It's one of those things where I think if you got denied and it was on there, you could probably phone in as long as it was easily verifiable that it was not a credit card account. I think you have a good argument, but they're not supposed to, but it doesn't apparently mean they always don't. So I don't know if that's a real answer for you, but from my experience, for the longest time, Upgrade, which is the only personal line of credit I technically have, but no, because even then, I've got an American Express. What's for their business account? It's a business line of credit, but it's still under my name. But they don't report business cards, so maybe that's why they wouldn't report it to personal credit. I guess it really just depends on the company and how they're reporting it. I think so. It's really hard to tell. So I don't know if that's a direct answer for you, just based on my experience. Well, I do think you could argue it in recon if you needed to. Next up, let's see, RJ. I have the Amex Blue Cash Preferred and the Marriott Bonvoy cards at both. Have an annual fee of $95 per year. Do you think the American Express will increase the annual fee of these cards in the very near future? No, I mean, not in the near future. I think Marriott went through their refresh already, and they chose to leave that card alone. The Blue Cash Preferred, I mean, I don't think to answer your question, no, not in the immediate future. Could I see them? It would be hard. I think it would be hard to increase that card, especially with the cap on the multiplier. So I don't think they're going to increase it right now. I do think they will. They seem to be going through and correcting, their terms and conditions, preventing people from backsliding, adjusting fees where necessary. So I think they're kind of like in a tick-tock type system. It seems like either I'm going to change the terms, or, I'm going to change, the card itself, something like that. Like, except less and less your Delta, and they just, did the whole thing all at once. So I think you're good. Luckily enough, they do have to tell you ahead of time. Anytime a fee is going to change on the card, they're required to tell you, and it would most likely take effect in your next re-up. So you wouldn't necessarily get surprised by it. But no, I don't think either of those are going to change anytime soon. But eventually, yes, things only get more expensive. All right, Afrin R here. Howdy, RJ. Love the content. Well, thanks. I like people who like me. Second question he sent in. Planning on applying for a mortgage in a year and a half. What should I do? Do I stop applying for credit cards now? No. I mean, well, it depends on like how your credit's looking. I assume since you're into finance content, you're getting ready to buy a house. Like as long as you're like the 720, 750s, I think you're fine. I wouldn't stop a year and a half out applying for cards unless you're just like, hey, I need any advantage I can get to move the needle on this score. Then yes, but also your level of aggression in cards more than I do. But a year and a half out, no, I wouldn't. I would probably stop. I don't know. I mean, knowing me, I'd probably wait like 6 months. I might even try to get one more right before I put in the application. But like 3 to 6 months out if you want to see some of them start to fall off. I think they stay on for 2 years, but they only like affect your score for a year, I think that is. But anyways, what should you do? I think the next year and a half is probably spent cleaning up your personal balance sheet. So this isn't necessarily directed at you, but just in general, like any smaller debts, any credit card debts you want to get rid of. Evaluate where your car payment is at. Is it close to being paid off? Can you get rid of that? Student loans, medical debt, things like that. And the reason being in a very competitive market where housing prices just aren't, I don't think they're going to change. I think we fundamentally changed what a house means. So I think the prices are going to stay relatively where they're at. It's going to help you increase your purchase power by having less outstanding liabilities. Other option here would be to really build out a budget because, I say the number you really need, again, not that you asked, but you need your down payment, but I think everyone needs an additional $10,000 just stashed away for when something happens, because 10 grand sounds like a lot of money, but it'll replace a roof, it'll replace an HVAC, it'll fix a hole in your wall, it'll fix a garage. Ask me how I know, ask anyone else how they know who owns a house. So I think you're really looking at your budget, because the thing that's going to happen when you go sit down for that mortgage application, they're going to give you as much money as they possibly can, and they're not going to take into account, oh, I like to max out my Roth or my IRA, or oh, I like to go on vacation 3 times a year, or whatever. They don't care about that. They only care about the stuff that's documented, that has to be accounted for. So this time, I think, is cleaning up your balance sheet, getting the best position, figure out how much money you feel comfortable with needing on the sidelines, separate of your down payment. Though, of course, in the math, when the bank sits down, they're going to say, oh, all of this is for the down payment. So just figuring that stuff out is probably where you're at right now. And some general scouting around things like that of where you might want to live. But credit cards, I think you're fine. Keep going a year and a half out by all means. All right, next up here, let's say someone on the internet got you addicted to bank account bonuses, hunting, and you ended up making $10,000 for the year in bonuses. What's a good estimate on how much the government is going to take of it in taxes? I mean, I don't think you actually have to estimate it if you know the rest of your income, because we work on a progressive tax system, right? So my rudimentary example off the top of my head, right? So you'd have it's basically like in tranches, like the first 10, I'm not saying these are the right numbers, but like the first $10,000 of your income is taxed at like 5%. And like the next 10,000 is taxed at, like 7%. So it's really more so of like, where's your total income, taxable income, and what does that 10 grand do to it? How does that bump you up to the next bracket, or is it going to be taxed roughly in the same bracket you're already in? The other thing you got to kind of consider is up to you. Banks are required to send 1099s for anything of $600 or more. They're not required to send it if it's less. Technically, it's our obligation to report it, even if we don't have a 1099. Some people do with that information what they will. So there's also that and how that factors in. But I think you can actually go through using the tax system and calculate it out that way to get a good estimate. I think there's, plus I would just use a tax and calculator. I'll put one on screen for you because I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but that's kind of how our tax system works. So you don't actually have to guess, because a lot of times in comments on the docket, you see people like, the tax implications don't even make any sense on this one, and they get into this giant debate about how you calculate taxes. The way I look at it is, it's all basically free money, and it didn't really take you that much to earn it. So yeah, of course it's greedy, it's unearned, the government's going to take their cut, but it really didn't take me that much to earn it, so be it. So I know I didn't give you an exact number because I don't know the exact number, but that's kind of how I think I would back into the number if you really wanted to. Next up, do you ever fund CDs with credit card? If so, which credit union do you recommend this for? I haven't. That's really John at Bank Account Bonus Central's jam. He loves doing that. I think he's made some videos about it. I can tell you some allow it. The one that I know allows it is GTE Financial. They're super uptight, but I think I can say it in the middle of an hour-long video and it'll be fine. But they're kind of uptight about the advertising of it, I think. But once you get in, it's a credit union in Florida, and like once you get in, like you can continuously fund CDs with a credit card. So I mean, you can do it. I've never done it. I'm not against it. It's really more so, you probably want to go for a brand new card. This is 0% APR with a large bonus, so you can do it. You just make the minimum payments till the 3-month period is over, or pay it off and keep doing it. You could do that as well. So there's definitely some options to doing. I haven't, but GTE Financial, last I checked, they were like the one that I know that was like still like okay with it. But I mean, they could have cracked down. This was like late last year. Joker, since you don't like to travel, could the YouTube community do a meetup at Tiger Stadium around May 24th? Get it? 525 to see. I like a good, bad joke. I don't hate traveling. I don't mind it. It's more so it's like cash back. My argument on travel is just we romanticize the wrong part. Traveling sucks. Getting to the place you want to go is pretty good, but like the art of traveling is just terrible. But no, going places is fine. Sure. I can't tell you the last time I used to go to this Tiger Stadium, or Comerica as it's called now. Funny, we used to go when I used to work in Detroit. Like it was mandatory. Like every department had to go to a baseball game as their team outing. I remember one time this woman took her laptop with her. I don't even know how she got in security. She was like so over it. But baseball games aren't bad. They're just like just a whole different type of sport because a lot of people there are not even paying attention to the game. Playoff baseball's going on right now. That's pretty good though. So sure, you want to do a local meetup and we can walk across the street to the Chase branch? I don't know. Why not? Sure. JP Buffett, no question, fam. Just congrats on reaching 20K. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that sincerely. Thanks for being one of the 20K, man. At least someone out there is watching. I do appreciate that. Very nice of you to drop by and say. Matt, next up. Hi, RJ. I have a quick question about 524. I'm planning on going back to the House of Diamond. We're making House of Diamond a thing in summer of 2024. I need to have a credit hit 24 months, credit card hit 24 months. Okay, so you're saying when does it count? I think they can actually tell the actual day, because if you go into like your Mint, again, Mint is the way I tell my 524 status. Credit Karma does it as well. But it tracks like to the day the account was open. So they should be able to tell. Now, I would probably hedge a little bit unless there's like an immediate rush, like the offer is going away and you need to go as soon as possible. I would probably hedge a little bit. So if it was like, if your card was, let's just say you opened a City Custom Cash and on your Mint it was showing 2 years. I would probably wait till it says 2 years, 1 month before I did it. Something like that. Just to be safe. But if you were borderline and hey, I'm looking at this, I opened it at this exact date, again, you might be able to get Recon to take a look at it, but why go through the hassle? So unless there's like an immediate push, I'm saying, hey, you waited this long, just wait the extra bit till it says 2 years, 1 month, and then do it. Again, that's the way I tell, but I think they can tell to the day. I think you would be fine technically. You just don't want to get caught in a who's pulling from what system, because you would still have to know who Chase is pulling from for that car, who Mint's getting the information from, versus just 2 years and 1 month is a safe bet. Next up, Chase again. I'm at 424 and just got the ink cash and plan to get the ink unlimited. I might not make it in time for the preferred. Other than the ink cards, what cards do people usually want before hitting 524? I also don't qualify for the Sapphire Preferred Reserve because I got that one too. I mean, it's kind of really up to you, I would say. The ink cards are good. I have all the links over at profitablecontent.com, just saying. But so you've gone through the inks, what's left? I mean, I would take a look. I tend to look at travel cards based on need. I mean, so if you like Hyatt, then I would get the Hyatt Business. Is it a keeper card? I don't think so, but it's a quick way to load up your card, load up your Hyatt account. If you fly Southwest, if you fly United, I would look at some of those business options as well, but I would look based on need. I mean, I know you could technically go down through the list and just start getting all of them, but most people don't really want to fly airlines that aren't convenient for them. Now, you can get into a spot where the Aeroplan card a while back had like a $100K offer. Then like maybe you just get it and you just fly a few Aeroplan flights or something. But when we're talking about 524, it's usually the Freedoms and the Sapphires, as you said. The Hyatt's a real popular one. Usually people want a United card, they fly United. And then it's the ink cards. I would also personally, for me, I would put the Amazon Prime card on that list. I know there's a lot of talk that it's not included in 524 anymore. I don't know if it is or isn't. They're never going to tell us, but the Amazon Prime for me is one of those cards. But other than that, I think you're really just going down the list and seeing what cards benefit you the most and which ones are you interested in. If you fly United, you fly Southwest, Marriott as well. But again, Marriott, maybe not so much Marriott, because Marriott, you could go the American Express lane, if you wanted to do that. So, I mean, I think I know I don't really answer your question, but I think at that point, once you've got the main ones, it's kind of up to you. But of course, those Ink Premier as well. I know you said you might miss the Preferred, but I think the Preferred's going to be there. I would bet a few dollars that the reduced spend requirement on the Preferred just becomes the normal offer. So I don't think there's necessarily a rush to hit that one. And even if you needed it, we can help you hit it through things we've talked about earlier in the show. So, I don't think there's a real rush. I think take your time through the ink cards. Get all of them, maximize your time. Plus, it's still so much spend that, it's still going to help some of your accounts age while you're trying to hit all of that spending. You're talking about $6,000 per ink card. 10 grand something for the Preferred, 10 grand for the Premier, something like that. So that's still a lot of spend, and plus you still have to put some time in between applications anyway. So, I would take your time going through the ink cards, cash and unlimited, as you said. Then after that, maybe just continue down that path, and, we'll see where you're at. Ed Bailey, met him in person. Nice guy. Congrats on 20K. He didn't troll me. Caesar was there too. Ed Bailey, but did not troll me about Amex though, so he's a nice guy. We like him. Congrats. I appreciate it, sir. Hope you're doing well. Again, it was great to meet you. Put a face to a name. See, when I do travel, though, it's a big deal. So maybe you guys just need to travel more when I travel. But in fairness, I didn't really tell anybody until the last minute I was going. And I do forget, as a person who's only responsible for me, that other adults with responsibilities and children need a heads up much in advance of when we're going someplace. So there's also that. I could be better at that, maybe. All right, DJ, what's your view on Swagbucks offers for bank bonuses? So Swagbucks is like this partner program, I guess you could call it, where banks will partner with Swagbucks, and sometimes you open this account. Like Ally has one right now. I saw you can get $75 for opening an Ally checking account through Swagbucks, which means they're going to deposit the money into your Swagbucks account. It's not really money going to your Ally account, but it's a partnership between Ally and Swagbucks. I've never gotten into it. I can't really comment too much. I've seen people swear by it. I've seen other people who it's given them a headache. Me personally, I tend to just like the accounts where I just know I'm getting cash in my account. I didn't really want to get into figure out what Swagbucks were. One, it's a silly name. It's not a good reason. It just is. I don't have a problem with it, and people ask me about it, and there's definitely some stacking plays where people can definitely do it and get even more money. I definitely encourage folks to do it. Maybe I should look into it more, but it's never really been something I've gotten into. I've always just gone with the offers directly from the bank. I feel like there's been plenty of those to take advantage of. So I've just never really gotten into it. It just seemed like another thing to kind of overcomplicate, or another thing to manage particularly. But I've seen both sides of the spectrum. I've seen people who swear by and do the Swagbuck offers, and I've seen people who are like, hey, it's annoying, but I haven't done it. So I'd say if it's working for you, or if you feel strongly that I'm missing out, undervaluing it, then let me know, and I'll take a second look at it. But it's really just not something I've gotten into, though I am aware of it. I guess I don't really have a good enough reason, other than it just seems easier to go straight to the bank and do it that way versus having to do the partnership deal. Evan, hey RJ, since your goal is 5% back on everything, have you thought about the Kroger or Harris Teeter MasterCard, depending on which is near you? We do have Kroger down the street. Issued by U.S. Bank, offer 5% back on mobile wallets up to $3,000 in spend per year. Thought about it. I don't have a good reason why I haven't gone at it. It didn't really rank too high up on my list. Most of the stuff I get actually comes from Amazon, as far as general supplies and things like that. Food and stuff. I've been using the Huntington Business Voice. We'll do 4%, or the Freedom cards again when I have them and groceries comes up. So it's not a bad option. I guess I would prefer if we just did 5% back at Kroger versus having to do the mobile wallet. But to your point, it would be a good one to have for those off category times, right? When it's not a freedom category or something like that. So no, I think they're underrated cards. I don't know why they don't get promoted more, honestly. So no, it's a good call. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but it is a good call in the 5%. I kind of put it out there like, the Target card and the Walmart card, they don't get talked about a ton, but they're still good 5% cards that are worth including, just not necessarily maybe top of the list, but no, I wouldn't discount them by any means. That is one thing U.S. Bank does well, is the mobile wallet thing. I think there was the Altitude Reserve has that as well. So good call, sir. RJ, or naive experience. RJ, congrats. What about Amex Hilton? I recently renewed Amex Hilton Aspire, but I don't know about 2024. Is it still worth it? I only travel once a year domestic to see my daughter. So two separate questions. I'll answer it in two parts. So Hilton refreshed the Aspire. They bumped it up by $100 from $450 to $550. They added some more credits to it. They took away a few things like Priority Pass. The card itself, I actually, as much as I crush American Express, I don't think the Hilton Aspire 550 is a bad choice. I really don't. It was so overpowered before, 450. Like, dudes had multiples of these things. But if I look at the competition, like the Marriott Brilliant card is 650, and I don't think they give my top status. That night is still capped, although it is a high cap in their defense. Is where the Hilton night is not capped, and you can use it anytime. They still give you their highest status. The credits are usable. It is annoying that you have to manage them quarter to quarter or biannually. So that is annoying, but the credits are more usable in the past than I thought an Amex would have done. So obviously I don't love the changes, but I'm for what Amex is normally known for, I think they're fine. Now, to your point, you only travel once a year domestic to see your daughter. Well, this card doesn't really help you out airfare. So, I don't know, like if you're staying with your daughter, like if you're staying with her, then no, by no means. I'm going to assume you're staying in a Hilton. It comes down to where are you staying, right? So like if you're saying, hey, my daughter lives in California, and when I go see her, I make a week out of it, and I stay at the Beverly Hills Hilton or the Waldorf Astoria or something like that, well then yeah, because you're getting Diamond, and that night is probably going to cover just about the cost of, the annual fee between that night, between your Diamond status perks, and plus now it's quarterly, you'll still be able to use one of the airline credits and one maybe even the resort credit. So it depends on how you're staying, because if that's your big blowout trip, go see the fam, visit with them. But if you're telling me you're staying in like I don't know, what's Hilton's lower end properties? I don't know the names of all of them. But if you're staying in like the lower end ones, then no, it's not worth it by any means. Even the Surpass might not be worth it at that point, even at 150. And you're probably just better off going with like a Wells Fargo autograph and maybe just buying gift cards at 5X from categories, to book your flight or something like that. So it really depends on how you're staying. If you're staying in a very nice property to see her even once a year, I think it could still pay for itself or enough, hit break even, so to speak. Then it's kind of just up to you. How do you value that? But again, it could be. So I think I just gave you more things to help make a decision than give you an answer. But I don't think the card itself is bad. For once a year, though, unless you're doing the blowout, I lean that you probably don't need it. But again, kind of up to you and how you travel. Tell her I said, hey, get her to watch the show. That'll probably get me unsubbed. Mark Schubert here. Do you think Amex will ever add a no annual fee downgrade path to the gold and platinum? Absolutely not. Amex hates poor people. Like, they just know that no pikers allowed. We're not doing it. No, I don't. I don't think they even want you to know that no annual fee is an option. No, just no, because they could have done it this whole time. I think it would make sense. I think it's kind of a mistake, and the reason, because I guess I don't know what it meant. This is kind of going way farther than you were going with your question, but if American Express is trying to get into the deposit account game, again, my real business account is an Amex business checking account, which does surprise people. But they have the checking, they have a savings, they have a business account. There are issues with some of them, but they have them. And generally, it's a cross-sell play. And I think it's very hard to cross-sell a new business or a new person on a card that's so expensive, because it feels like, well, you just sucker me in with this free account and then you just hit me with this $150, $250, $700 card. So I think they should look at having something like that to help the cross-sell, help ease you into it, get you in there. There's a reason all the airlines and all the hotels have a no annual fee card. They're usually not very good, but for a lot of people, you got to start using it. You got to be comfortable with it before you start just committing to paying $250, $700 for a card. So I think they should, but I don't think they want you to even understand that world exists. I would argue that the BCP card should not have an annual fee on it. You want to cap it, fine, but I don't understand. $95? Really? There's so many other cards out there that are, just as competitive in just different ways that don't have an annual fee. I don't understand why, other than they don't want you to know that world exists. So I don't even think that was the actual question, but no, I don't think they will. Do I think they should? Yes, I do. KC here, look at that nice channel member logo next to your name, sir. We've got to plug stuff where we can. Channel members, join button down below, tell you more about it. How are you liking Bank of America? Is it worth the increased cash back to invest with them over somewhere like Fidelity or Schwab? Bank of America user interface is horrible. Like, I don't even know how you're that bad as the second biggest bank. So the desktop version is not great. They trick you. Some pages look user-friendly. Then you click into something. You're like, what is this? I don't even understand. Paying your credit card's very annoying. For some reason, my Chase account is linked to pay my Bank of America card on desktop, but on mobile, I don't get it as an option. I get my Ally account as an option. I don't know why. Their Merrill Lynch is not that much better. So, I mean, I would say this. I'm still happy I did it because I don't do much in the investing space. So it's a Roth IRA. It's mostly, I always get the name of the security wrong, but whatever like VT Sachs is, whatever that was, a mutual fund, something like that. I have a few different versions of those. I make my $6,500 a year contribution. I go in when I get those emails and say, hey, you just got a prospectus or something. Make sure there's no money that I need to reinvest, or if I don't have it already on auto reinvest. And so like I can manage those few times a year just doing it, but I'm not in there just moving, day trading and all that stuff. If you're going to be an active trader, probably, I think it would just be, you'd be happier with another user interface. But because I just set it and forget it, because there's only $5 in my Bank of America checking account to leave it open, because it's a requirement. I don't do much with it, so be it. The credit cards themselves are fine. I do like the user interface of the credit card. There's actually a tab that will show you what you've earned on each purchase, which is helpful for the customized cash, so you can see what actually counted as online. So as you go, you can learn. So for me, I think it's worth it. I do, because I did it for the credit cards. You got to put your retirement somewhere. So I think it's worth it. From that standpoint, I'm still going to get my Susan G. Komen card. I am really liking having both credit cards. The customized cash is a quality of life card, meaning I don't have to buy all those gift cards all the time. I can just go online, like I'll just use this card. It's great. Again, 2.62 on the unlimited cash. So for me, yes, it's worth it. If you're an active trader, like user interface, not that great. And the last thing I'll say is we got to remember, having $100,000 for the bank doesn't make you special, right? I'm going to give it a full year. I'm going to try to use some more of their services. I think next year I'm going to get back in the housing game, no matter what the prices in the market are doing. I'll at least price them out for a mortgage. And then once I've had them for a full year, I think I'll do a full dedicated video on like, hey, here's my 1 year experience, the preferred rewards. I think it's too hard to do it. Not fair to do it when you've only done a few products, just after a few months. So I will do an update like that. But for me, it does accomplish my goal. And the investment stuff is manageable, but I would have expected a lot better. User interface wise. I remember trying to upload a document to them. There's no way to type a message. It's just upload it. Did they get it? Did they not get it? Who knows? It's just like this basic stuff, man. Just basic stuff that they don't have. It's the second biggest bank, which is amazing to me. But there's that. So full detail, full video in maybe 6 months, but there's my mid-year check-in. If you want the credit cards and the multipliers, it is worth it. If you want to more so trade and stuff, maybe look elsewhere. All right, Evan Gibson here. What will the Amex Hilton Honors Biz get nerfed like the Aspire? It's weird because I don't think yes, it got nerfed by definition because they increased the price, but I still don't think the Aspire got crushed. I think the Surpass got it worse. It was in the really sweet spot of $95 and moving it up to 150 kind of crushed it for a lot of people. So the weird thing about Amex is they've been leaving all their business cards alone, right? We've seen the product family rule changes in the personal line, but we haven't really seen them change much in the business line. Granted, yes, the Delta cards got a change, but they didn't even get the rule change that the personal line did. So I feel like more businesses must actually, like actual businesses must be going with the Amex business cards, and it must be in Amex's favor because they haven't touched them. So I think they're going to leave it alone for a while, honestly. I don't see them doing much of anything to the business line, which is odd to me. But again, I think in Amex's mind, I think also we're such a, we talk to each other all the time. So we think there's many of us, and to us there kind of are. But like the grand scheme of things, I think we're very, very niche. So there's probably not that many people out there who are like, hey, why would I get an Amex business card as a regular person? And so for that reason, I think the business cards must be working for them, and they haven't messed with them yet. Because it's also, they're getting weighed in from the partner as well, like Hilton or Delta. So, no, I guess not. But I could be wrong. All right, 2 more here. Next up, is it worth refinancing an auto loan? Cars only depreciate. Will the interest rates go down significantly enough to make a difference in a 4 or 5 year loan? I've never refinanced an auto loan. I'm going to say probably not. It's one of those things where, there's some obvious times, right? Like, I think you missed the window, really. Because if you had an auto loan, in the past and then rates dropped down to near zero, then potentially it could have been good. Now, I can't imagine it making a lot of sense. Especially, you got to figure out what are the origination fees on that loan going to be, the price of actually doing the loan. That's probably going to be a payment or two maybe right there. So no, I don't think it's probably worth it. If you really don't like the rate, you're at, or depending on how much you have left, I think it's probably just better to look at like, what's my strategy to pay this thing off quickly. But no, I don't, because of the origination fee. I understand your payment would end up being less because you owe maybe a year or two less on the loan, because of the origination fee and where the rates are at now, like, you could end up with a lower payment with a higher rate depending on what your principal is. But again, I don't really think it's probably worth it. But the good news is you can easily figure out if it's worth it or not by just talking to a few spots. Credit unions in this case are probably your friend. Honestly, they tend to have more competitive rates, I would say. So you probably start there, but now probably not unless you've paid off a significant amount of it that's going to make your payment that much lower. But in that case, you paid that much off of it. Then, get together a plan, make the final push to pay it off, I guess, would be my thought. But at least we can, fact check this. All right, here we go. Rem, congratulations on 20K. How do you manage so many multiple banking accounts? Do you cancel then 1 year after getting the new customer offer? So a lot of it, I have that spreadsheet, I'll put it up that tracks all the bank accounts, right? I log everything that I'm actively working on there. I've got statuses and dates. So, the next year I can go in and see, okay, when's the last time I opened this? When's the last time my bonus paid? When's the last time I closed it? I also say, for the average person, I say really you just need to check the thing every 2 weeks. So that's the cadence when most of us get paid every other week. So, go in, check when I need to move my direct deposit, when don't I. There are some times where you want to be a little bit more aggressive on your check, like Huntington Business, for example. I was quite proud of this one. Huntington, for the top tier business account, you got to put in 20 grand to get 1,000, which is not bad, but to waive the fees, they want you to have a balance of 50,000, which is not really worth it, because they'll just charge you, I think, $20, $25 late if you're not. But most banks don't start charging you to the third month. So I kept an eye on that one. And as soon as they paid me, I phoned in and I was like, hey, I need to downgrade this account. So I managed to avoid all fees. So for something like that, I am more aggressive checking every day because, I'm just trying to avoid. Now, again, a $25 hit on $1,000 is nothing. It's still worth it, but, why not? But for most people, I say just check every other day. Use the spreadsheet, fill it out. You can edit it. There's always a Google Drive on the bank channel as well. You can just download it. Edit it to your heart's content, or make your own if you prefer. Track those dates because those are going to be the important dates. And then year over year, you just want to start a new tab. So I've got like 21, 22, 23. Next year, I'll start a new tab so I can go back and reference. And the other thing I'll say is, again, I have a real job, but I do this for like a living. I say I do it for a living, so I'm more in the mix of it day to day because I'm looking for what's my next video topic, what bonuses do I need to update on the website, what are we going to talk about today. So as an occupation, I end up more in depth in it, more immersed in it than other people. You by no means need to be immersed in it that much. I think the spreadsheet will be fine. Building up a cadence. You can set reminders on your phone when you need to close things if you want to, but again, just being able to skim through it and check it. Building out the right tools as well. Like I've got a website that there's many of them. There's like a calendar site. If you put in, hey, I need to close this one in 6 months from opening, put in today's date, calculate 6 months out, and it'll tell you the date. Many tools like that definitely help as well. And then I say, start small. The one I always start people off on is Chime. Do one. And if you like one, do another one, and then you start to do 2 or 3. And then, of course, so I say the last thing, I just keep talking. There's a lot of times there's not a lot that you really need to do on them, right? A lot of them are you're just waiting to be paid out. A lot of them are just put the money here and wait. The most you really need to do is use the debit card, and once you do that, you're usually good, or reroute your direct deposit. Sometimes you do need to, continue to send transactions to it. A lot of that stuff can be automated once you get comfortable with it. You can automate pushes from one bank to another, pulls from one bank to another, so you really don't have to look at it too much. So you can do things like that. But again, a lot of that comes after you've gotten your experience building up, doing a first few. But other than that, it's really not that bad to keep track of all of them. So, all right, we got one more. See, I refreshed to make sure everyone's good, then we got one more. So this is the official last guy. Mitchell, I'm glad he's the last guy here because he's always here commenting. What do you do for resiliency, say after a storm, first aid kit, what else, or network failure, such as having some cash on hand? I was like a way off the wall question. I mean, I don't exactly have a fallout shelter. I mean, yeah, I think there's a first aid kit around here somewhere. When the move is, the real move is to get the Generac, the thing hooked up to the side of your house, so the power goes out, you don't even notice. Like that's the move. Solar power would probably be the best move, but that's really expensive. You start just living off the grid. Generac would be like the move. It's just you got to plan that out because it's expensive. But there is a generator with gas. I think it's just like I don't have like a ton of excess gas. Like in the shed, there's like the gas can for like the lawnmower. That'll usually fill it up, and you can usually go drive out far enough and get some more if you need it. But I don't have like a whole fallout shelter. I mean, a fallout shelter would be sick. I'm not anti-fallout shelter. I just don't, I haven't chiseled enough away in the basement yet. Or maybe I have. I would never admit it. Why would I admit it? Because then that would make me a target at the end of the world. I definitely keep cash on hand just because I don't trust the banks. How much cash? I mean, not a ton, but I carry cash. I definitely keep cash on hand. Everyone should keep cash on hand. You just never know. Plus, you need hush money, right? What money? Anyways. You tell me the plan, because I guess I don't really have that in best of a plan. Normally, the power goes out and it's like late enough, I just go to bed. If there's no internet and my hotspot doesn't work on my phone, I'm like, you know what? We'll just pick it up tomorrow. I'm going to bed. And that's usually how I get through it, which is probably not the answer you wanted, but that's the last question, so there we go. Anyways, guys, we finished this one under an hour. As always, I asked you all the questions, so I want to ask you another one to say thank you so much for watching. Of course, if you liked it, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you find it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel, as we're posting content just like this every single week and right back every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. And of course, every single day over on ProfitableContent.com, where we have the latest news stories. We have bank promotions, so if a lot of these questions around bank offers got you interested, we have that, plus Run on the Bank as well, dedicated channel. And of course, we have credit card offers, so that Freedom Unlimited Double Cash offer. Some of these Hilton cards sounded nice to you. Well, go ahead, you can learn more over there under our credit card section. Always linked for you down below. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching and writing in. Thank you so much, and I will see you very soon next month.